Hi there. My name is Amantis, and welcome to Cozy Sundays, where we're going to have a cozy game on the background and kind of just talk. To first off explain what a Cozy Sunday will be, it is going to be where we talk and relax and kind of detox from the week. Because I know for a fact, it's just speaking about myself, that even if I might be being lazy, I am still stressing all the damn time about the littlest things and the most minute things. So what we'll do is we'll rather talk about something positive or get stuff off of our chest. This is in a way to get away from stuff as well, because I know sometimes I need it. So if you want to join in on this stuff, we can, and just talk. So in the comments and all this stuff, talk about stuff you liked, if it involves the topic or anything. Or, as well, just kind of sit there, enjoy the day, and just listen and watch some Minecraft. First episode, most likely a couple of first episodes, is going to be Minecraft, this little campsite that I made. There's a little lake behind us as well, which I had found out the axolotl in the lake had killed every single fucking fish. Yeah, that was a great start, finding that out after, doing all this. But what I want to talk about this episode, and I think this is a topic everyone can talk about, is last year. Which is crazy to think last year is over. I feel like we had barely started it. And I know for me, a lot has happened in the past year, and I know this year is going to be the same. So, we are going to quickly talk about this in a more positive light, because I want to talk about the movies, video games, and as well, music. Because even though I like comics, manga, and anime, and all of this stuff, that I didn't really keep up with this year. Those three things I kept up with the most, though. So it's the easiest topic for me to talk about and all this stuff. I might not show gameplay, I might, depending on how I feel, or if I'm going to talk about them later on. And you might hear in my voice that I sound a little off. That was because I'm sick, and that's what stopped me from originally recording what I wanted to record. So to also talk about this, I will also explain this, is I will also talk about future videos if it comes up. Next week, I will be uploading another video with this, and what it's going to be is about Devil May Cry, the first game. I'm going to then cover the second, third, fourth, fifth, and etc. And that's going to be the first little series that I'm going to do talking about that game series. It's probably one of my favorite, and I know there's a bunch of people that love it as well, and I know there's a major stinker. Well, I know there's two, but that's my opinion alone, and that'll be more of a negative topic, so we're not going to get into that. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what should be talked about first, if it should be video games, music, or movies. But I want to talk about, I think one of the most positive things to come out of last year is the relationship I'm in. She makes me really happy. Genuinely. And a lot has happened involving that, which might be a topic for a later video when that comes around. But yeah, that is, I think, one of my biggest highlights. And all the friends as well. But trying to think of a better way to go through this. I'll come up with a better way as the episodes progress and all this stuff. But as you see, this is me still trying to figure out the ropes for this. And also, how do you rate the tent? I know the tent's very weird. I was trying to come up with something. And yeah, that's what I came up with. I think let's start with music, because that's probably my easiest one to talk about. And for music, for me, my top 5 albums, and I'd like to specify 2, I am very much into heavy metal and, I guess, metalcore, all of that as well. So I think I'm going to start from my number 5 to up to my number 1, which I think my number 5 for this year will probably be, in all honesty, is it called Champion Certification? Well, the band themselves is none other than the Home Team, if you know who they are. And their album, oh my god, I can't remember the name. I'm trying to pull it up at the moment. So we're going to go silent for a minute. The Crucible of Life. The Crucible of Life is a great album. I think my only complaint is I wish it was just a little bit longer, but I love all the songs in there. To kind of explain the Home Team in a way, is a lot of their stuff is very upbeat, a lot of fast, and it's not really sitting there where you're trying to focus on the negative. A lot of the songs on this album too are love songs as well, or in a way, kind of love songs. Some of it could be like, sad breakup songs. Like, one of my favorite ones, Love and Co., or Love When You're Used. And I also love the singles off this one that came with it, like Loud, Hell, Walk This World With Me, Overtime Roommates, all of that. Some of those are absolutely amazing. But the reason why it's at number 5 is this album had kind of went under my radar at first. I didn't realize it came out until a little later. And when I finally listened to it, I was just absolutely stoked by everything. It was when I was working at the other job I was at, and I was just absolutely blitzing through stuff because of the upbeat volume of this album. It was so great. Now, number 4 or number 3, I'm going to have to put this in a tie, is American Motorsports by Bill Murray, or Wave Machine by Makera, if that's how you say their name. So, American Motorsports is a shitpost. Best way to say it. But it is probably going to be one of the best produced and best sounding shitposts you ever hear. And the reason why I say this, it is a heavy metal country album. Yes, you hear me say that. But all of the songs have a lot of heart to them, and some of them are so hilarious. But they have so much emotion to it that it's unbelievable how good this album is. Like, you're listening to it and you're like, there's no way that this is like a serious project, but then you're like, the quality is absolutely insane. Like, whoever came up with this album must have been just losing it at like the shit they come up with. And Bill Murray is also known for like kind of his like funny music videos or music as well. But it's so good with the way they are. But Wave Machine is kind of the exact opposite. Is it feels like, in a way, him talking about the way he feels about his life and all the good things and all the bad. Like their songs like Cheers to You or Closure, Contigo. Just all those songs. And I think they're all just amazing songs. It's really hard for me to choose between the two because Wave Machine I just started listening to not even a couple of weeks ago. And American Motorsports I had a longer time with. But the Wave Machine just kind of like blew itself up and made me love it so fast that it was insane how quick I just fell in love with this album. So for that, they're kind of tied in my 3 and 4 spot. But number 2 for me is easy because of the fact I absolutely love this album and I love this band. I had been listening to them since 2018. I want to say 2018. We're gonna say that. I was in high school still when they were releasing music, and that band is Cane Hill, and their album A Piece of Me I Never Let You Find. Now, I had been following their releases for this album, and it's crazy to me to think that The Midnight Sun, the first piece they released for this album, came out early 2024. This came out in April. And they released their album in, like, what was it? August? November 1st. Now, I don't want to spoil any of the tracks that are, like, the ones that are, like, more of, like, hit me. But all the singles for this album were insanely good and building so much hype for me with it. Midnight Sun coming out with Ecstasy of Grief, or Ecstasy in Grief, and just then continuing with Fade, Permanence, and then Drowning. Oh my god. So good. This album just had so much energy and so much, like, emotion, because at one point you're starting at this other, like, Midnight Sun. When that released, the way that started off was just complete intensity, and talking about this relationship that it felt like you were stuck in. And then you got Ecstasy and Grief, which is just heavy as shit. It's just punchy. Punch, punch, punch. And then you go into Fade, which is kind of this soft and, like, sad melody, but it's so good. And then you kind of, like, follow it up with the other two, with Permanence and Sleep and Drowning Therapy, where it's just absolutely good. It's I'll make a joke kind of going, it's peak. You know, the music was so good with them. And then when they finally released A Piece of Me I Never Let You Find, I listened to that entire album in one run through, and I absolutely love this album so much. I love the songs of I Always Knew We Were Doomed, The Sounds of Roses Blooming, How Could You Lose. Just every song on this album was so good. It had just this emotion and this tie on me that it was impossible for this to be any higher. It would have been higher as well if it wasn't for one band who unintentionally just has taken their highest part in my heart. And that band is Eminence and their album, The Black. Now, I did a whole video about this with Music Talk about that album, so I'm not going to go in as in depth as I did with that, but that album shares such a special place in my heart. And one thing I absolutely hate, and I fucking hate this so much about it, is it released most of its singles at a terrible point in my life for 2023. And some songs I can't listen to fully without getting insanely emotional, because of it having tied to such, like, heavy memories. When the album came out, something had just happened at the moment, and I kind of tie that album to it. And this album is just amazing from just start to end. You only get, like, a break 3 different times, and those are 3 different tracks that are kind of, like, giving you atmosphere and all this stuff for the album. But besides for those, you just have so much emotion going through it. It feels as if they finally got to make their own stuff. Because before this, their other albums, they were signed to a label. Then you come to this one, and they have dropped the label and are completely making what they want. And this album is so good. It's hard to say sometimes what is my favorite track, because it will differ from multiple different times. Sometimes it'll go from Death by a Thousand Cuts to Come What May, The Black, just Calling of the Void. It just differs every time. And it's hard to say what will stay in that spot because of the fact of just how good that album is to me. As I said, it's my album of the year last year. And looking at the upcoming music as well, is I already have a guess of what my next album for this year, 2025, will be. And I hope I'm not wrong. Just know that I have been listening to one of the tracks that have been released for that album on repeat. I can't wait for that album to come out. And I'm not going to say who because that'll spoil the surprise of that. Now, I think I'm going to do movies. And what sucks to say is I didn't go out to see that many movies this year. If I'm correct, I only went out to see 3 different movies. There are some movies that I saw at home and all this stuff that ended up being really good. I think I saw a decent amount. But I have to remember. I think I saw a decent amount at home, but there are a couple of movies that came out this year that just topped them. So right now, I think I only have a top 3 for movies. And to talk about those movies, I have an order, and I know one of them's going to surprise people because I know this is probably what everyone's top movie was for last year. But it's not my top. And I'll explain why when I get to it. But for my number 3, that is Longlegs. And Longlegs, to give a brief description without spoiling anything, is a detective movie where you are following this this detective as she is trying to uncover this case of the serial killer named Longlegs. And as she is, it's unraveling more twists and turns about her own life and how there's some involvement with her family. I won't reveal anything else, but I will say the marketing for this movie was insanely good. If you did not see the marketing, please go watch those trailers and even call the number they had on billboards. That is the thing that fully just made me and my girlfriend at the time, well, girlfriend still, I don't know why I said it like that, go see it, which is we called the number. She made me call the number. And holy shit, that is insane the way they did that and everything. And if it wasn't for the fact you know he's in the movie, you wouldn't believe Nicolas Cage is in the movie. Hell, I don't even think you get to see him 2 to 3 times fully in the movie. And just when you finally do get to see him, it's this like eerie feeling. And I remember watching it in theaters and catching all these little things and just the insanity of just the like little details of, oh, this happened, or oh, he's doing this, and or oh, this ties into this part and this part. But the reason why it's not higher up is for one simple reason. The ending. I would say more final act. I did not like the final act as much as I do the other movies on this. The other 2. I feel like the ending part for this movie was a little lacking compared to the rest of that movie, which is insane because the rest of the movie is just amazing. It has so much good things about it, the lighting, the music, and the acting, just every little thing. But the final act I feel is a little lacking in some parts, but it can do so much. I would recommend a lot of people who are a fan of detective or horror movies to go see that. Genuinely. Now, my number 2 spot is Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like I don't have to explain why it's Deadpool and Wolverine, but I do have to probably explain why it's my number 2 and not number 1. I want to specify that I am a big Deadpool fan and I love those old Wolverine movies. I think Logan is probably one of the best comic book movies as well. And Deadpool and Wolverine is up there in that category as well. The only reason why I don't believe it to be higher is because of hearing all the cameos that could have been in and seeing them on set and just imagining the way they looked. But there are so many good things about this movie that it's insane. I love the acting. I love the bromance between, Wolverine and Deadpool, or Logan and Wade. I love how the entire story is kind of about him trying to win back his girlfriend and save them. And I know it might be like, oh, you spoiled it. If you've watched the trailers, you know that's the plot of the entire movie. He's trying to save his universe. And with what you think because of the trailers, you think it's because of Cassandra. I'm not going to reveal anything, but it is and is not. Now, my movie of the year came out in April. And I had been following everything behind it beforehand because I was so curious about the concept of this movie. And when finally getting to see it, it blew me away. And that movie is Late Night with the Devil. I believe Late Night with the Devil is a horror movie at its peak. And everything behind this is just complete insanity of the idea of it. And the idea of it is you are following an entire talk show from the start to ending of one of its episodes as they're trying to gain viewership back by communicating with a demon. Now that concept alone is amazing. And the first 10-ish or so minutes is kind of a documentary. Let me specify that too. Where it is explaining where he's at, why he's doing this, and what could be the other reasons. And the part that told me that I was in for a treat is my girlfriend, when they had started talking about a specific type of group of people. No shit, in the theaters, turns to me and goes, "Oh, that's a real thing." And, I kind of want to talk about spoilers for this movie, so for the next probably 5-ish so minutes, if you want to skip ahead, do that, because it's probably the smartest thing to do. Because the cult or group they're talking about is Bohemian Grove. Sorry, I accidentally knocked my mic out. I know, probably like, you can edit it out, but I want this to kind of be raw. Now, to explain, Bohemian Grove is a very interesting type of group of people that are still around. Let me specify that. They are still around, where it is very hard to know what the hell they're doing, but it has been tied to a lot of high-profile actors and, politicians, music artists, you name it, there's a high chance a type of group of people is there. And it's really hard to say what it is or what could be there. Because originally when it was broke, the person who broke it unintentionally ruined an unintentionally groundbreaking case by him saying the dumbest thing ever. And that would be Alex Jones and they're making the frickin' frogs gay. He was about to report on the biggest case ever. He had gotten in and filmed in there. Filmed their starting ritual for there. And ended up recording that the frogs were fucking each other when one was male and one was female. That is not a joke, and it actually happened, and it makes me so upset knowing that this happened. Just, oh my god. But I wanted to go into that little detail to explain Bohemian Grove, because it is also explained in the movie that it's very tied to maybe satanic imagery. That they pray to this god. And the reason why he's doing this is his wife had died and he had stepped away. And then for a while he came back, but he did not see that same viewership he had before. So he was trying to tap back into it. by communing with him. And a lot of events unfold, like him talking to this, oh my god, what are the names of them? They like talk to the dead. A medium. Where they're like, oh yes, I can talk with the dead and all this stuff. And he also has someone there who he is charging, if I'm correct, it was $1 million to prove that supernatural is actually real. And that idea alone is what fuels a lot of people to be there. Now, I'm going to stop right there for the moment for spoilers, because the rest of the movie needs to be witnessed. What I had practically described was the first 30 minutes of the movie. That movie is an hour and 30 minutes long, or it's an hour and 20. The first 20 minutes is following along as it's trying to explain the context beforehand of what's going on, so the documentary, and the next hour is of them doing this episode. My biggest suggestion for anyone, watch it at home. It is a whole different experience when you watch it at home. Because, as I said, it is supposed to be resembling a TV show. And if you watch it from start to finish, it is the exact length of one. They even do little ad breaks that are like probably, I think it's like 5 or so minutes long. How ad breaks are usually. And I know the movie had a little controversy because of using AI imagery, but specifically for its adverts that you see for only 5 seconds, where it's like, oh, this is about the night owls and all this stuff. And then it's quick pan, goes back to its normal show. So yeah. But that is my top 3 movies. Now for video games, it is very hard for me to talk about this because of the fact I have played so many games this year, and I believe some of the best games came out near the end. And I know my list is going to probably piss a lot of people off because of the fact of what's up there, what's not, and as well what will be number 1. Because there is one that I genuinely agree with, and I think it should be number 1 for a fact. Now, for number 5, I'm gonna do the latest Call of Duty. And I know, a Call of Duty being up there is absolutely outrageous. But my only reason for it is because of the fact the zombies this year is so good. I might divulge that a little bit more of, zombies and all this stuff, because I want to do a whole video or videos talking about the series its whole. But that is what mainly got me there. The Omni movement was really good. Gunplay feels really good. And the story, the campaign, is not that bad. And probably has one of my favorite protagonists from a Call of Duty campaign in a while. Because, oh my god, fucking Case is insane. Like, why is that the protagonist they decided to choose for, the game? Now, my next one is the Elden Ring DLC. I'm joking about that. Just, that was still a little insanity that got up there. Because, why is that even in the list considered as one of the top 5 of the game of the year? Because I know that was absolute. It baffled me. It baffled nearly everyone. Why is that there? Why? Right? And I wish I could even explain why. Now, number 4 is actually Marvel Rivals. I've never been a fan of Overwatch, but Marvel Rivals has kind of given me this hope that the series and stuff like games like that are actually good. Marvel Rivals is insanely good. It has so many good gameplay features, and every character feels different. Like right now I'm trying to learn Captain America, which I know a lot of people fucking hate Cap because of the fact he doesn't feel like a good tank. but I figured stuff out with him, and he's become a lot more better. But the game has so much good gameplay and all that stuff. I'm trying to think of wording that isn't just all that stuff, but I'll get better at that stuff. Marvel Rivals is insanely good, and the gameplay loop is super fun with every character. My main at the moment is Luna Snow, but I do divulge into Wolverine, or as you heard, Captain America. Now, I noticed my first two were, multiplayer games. But what I'm more interested and I'll have a lot more fun playing is single player games. So starting with number 3 is Black Myth Wukong. And I know this is going to cause a stir for a lot of people because of the fact that, 1, it didn't win Game of the Year, and 2, I know the fan base. But Black Myth Wukong is so good. It is really good, but there is some stuff that I believe it can be better in. Because I want to specifically talk about Chapter 3, where there's so much to do. There's so much there. But it's mostly just empty space or filled with mob enemies that really are only there to pad it. It only gets worse and worse as the game progresses. Now, is it a bad game? No. It is an absolutely amazing game. Those first 2 to 3 chapters are some of the best you'll experience in a game. And even the final boss is amazing. This game has so many good bosses and gameplay loops and designs that you could probably build a character and have a different build from someone else. And the story can unravel a little different for you than it did for someone else because of the fact you did this side quest or this mission. So now you have a better understanding of this or that. But the things it does struggle on is keeping the padding, is keeping you actually enthralled and making sure that it still keeps you intact. And I believe it struggles on that a lot sometimes. And it's not bad sometimes, and other times it is absolutely abhorrent. Does that mean I don't view it as better as some of the other games I have on my list? No. I do see it better than some games on my list, but it's my preference. And I love the fact that it has this very God of War-esque feel, or as some people will also say, Souls-like. And I'm a big fan of From Software games, but I feel like this game takes both elements from both of them and uses them perfectly, but misunderstands some of the other ideas. Because some of the quests do give you major rewards, and other times it feels as if you've done it for just the littlest thing. And it kind of loses you when you're trying to complete it all, and you're like, there's so much to do, but I don't feel like I'm doing it for fun anymore, if that makes sense. And I've been following this game since it was revealed, and I feel like everyone praises this game up and down. But this game has so many little things wrong with it that people won't want to talk about it because of the fact the fans, even a little bit to a point, the creators will kind of like go at you for it. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know 100% what's going on with that. But I understand their views and everything, but they shouldn't take it out because of the fact their views were not agreed. That should never happen. Now, my number 2 spot, which can be very surprising because I know a lot of people rather love or hate this game because of one simple fact: it being too faithful. I'm talking about Silent Hill 2 Remake. And I know a lot of people are going to say a remake should not be on a list for this. And I do agree. But the remake for Silent Hill 2, I believe, encapsulates everything that made that original game so good. It understands the source material and keeps to it the points it needs, and the new endings it adds are insanely good and will make you actually tear up. I wanted to show my girlfriend one of the endings, but she has no idea what was going on in Silent Hill. And why would this ending have such an impact on this? And seeing James' story again and revitalized is great. The gameplay too is really fun. Being able to just whack away at enemies, dodge, whack away, and like just gun them down. Just so good. I guess my only real problem is the press they did for this. This game, when it was shown, had such a bad press review. I feel like they intentionally were trying to screw themselves over, but then finally realized they had an actual gem at the end. Which is crazy to think, because that last trailer they revealed for the game, for launch, was probably one of the best trailers I saw for last year. And that is not me blowing that out of proportion. That trailer was so good. Just, Jesus. Why isn't that what you started with? But besides for that, Silent Hill 2 Remake is probably a gold standard, in my opinion, for remakes. I was worried, but when it came out, my worries were quelled. This game is so good. I even had my girlfriend play it for a little bit, and she likes it. I'm trying to play it with her and not reveal any of the story beats. Anything. Because, you know, that would suck if I reveal the big moments. But the game, and I know I might be just giving this because of the fact of I love Silent Hill 2 and I love the series so much, but it doesn't change the fact that Silent Hill 2 Remake is a genuinely amazing game. Now, to talk about my game of the year. I might get a lot of flack, even though it's genuinely one of the great games of this year, and everyone agreed before it literally was flacked for getting game of the year that it deserved it. That game is Astro Bot. Astro Bot is so fun, cute, and great. It feels as if it is a love letter for every Sony game. It feels as if you are playing this and you feel the love that you've had for all these games and platformers. And it just builds off of what made the Playroom so good. You feel like you're playing one of the old platformers. And Astro Bot, he's just this cute little dude himself. And the story is super simple. You have to rebuild your mothership. Mothership, I put in quotations, as it's just the PlayStation 5. But it's just so fun. You don't have to really worry. It's just cozy, and it lets you like shut off your brain and enjoy the game. And when you want to try, it has trials that are insanely hard, and it's to unlock specific characters, like unlock the Chris or Jill, or I mean Leon and oh my god, Leon and Claire bots. You even have stuff for The Last of Us. You have something for every little franchise owned by them. Does it make me a little sad seeing some of them and be like, man, they're never gonna get a sequel? Yeah. Bloodborne. Bloodborne. Please give me Bloodborne. But, yeah. But the game understands what made platformers so good, and it's just love for the PlayStation series. It felt as if it did everything right. Which, you can't say that about a lot of games sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to give that love for them because of the fact they don't. And Astrobot just understands that. And I remember seeing it release, everyone going, oh my god, it's Game of the Year contender. Oh my god, it's Game of the Year contender. And then when it finally won, everyone fucking lost it because it won. But not because in a good way, but because of the fact everyone was pissed. But why? Enjoy the game you like. Don't be mad your game didn't win. Be happy that some other game won because of the fact it's actually a good game. We should be rejoicing. We shouldn't be getting mad or pissed because of this or that. It's stupid. Enjoy what you like. And don't get mad if someone doesn't enjoy it the same amount as you do. Just because I like Astrobot more than Black Myth Wukong or Silent Hill 2 or Marvel Rivals, Helldivers, all this stuff, it doesn't mean those games are bad. Everyone has their preference. So don't get mad about it. Just enjoy. Just enjoy what you enjoy and let them enjoy what they enjoy. Don't be a dick. Okay. Sorry for that little tangent. But yeah. For me, that was kind of my stuff for this year. And stuff I loved and liked and everything like that. I have to probably remember everything else. There would have been a couple of other movies. Sorry for yawning. Jeez. But I hadn't seen them yet. Those two movies being Nosferatu and Sonic 3. I want to see both of them. I'm a little worried to see one, and that being Nosferatu, because I've seen the way people are thirsting over Count Olaf, and that worries me a little bit, because I don't think you should be thirsting over Count Olaf. Please look at him in the original movie. It's crazy to me, thinking that he had an update or something where it's like, oh my god, he's so hot. But, yeah. That's my highlight for last year. And I just wanted to start off with something simple, you know, have a very light topic. But next week, we'll try to do something more akin to everyone. But yeah. I hope you guys all have an amazing week. And as well, have just a moment to detox and listen to some idiot ramble about stuff he likes. I all hope you have a great week, and I all hope you have a great day. Bye.